On the playoff picture that's playing out now, I made the stance yesterday, Scoop, that if Indiana had made the playoffs, they were built to possibly take down the Hawks. Am I crazy, or was I onto something?
You're absolutely right. And that goes with having pedigree. That goes with having to beat them before. That goes with momentum. That goes with fight. If we're really throwing pie up in the sky and having a utopian conversation here, if Paul George had never gotten hurt, I would have put my money on them the same way I would have put my money on Oklahoma City if they had gotten Kevin Durant back and gotten the 8th spot against Golden State. I'm with you on that one.
Just so you know, Scoop, for the next week, Levack's going to be going, Scoop's got my back, baby.
That's right. What?
Scoop knows what's up.
I'm actually done for the week. I'm leaving.
Hey, wait. It's easy to answer the question when it's not going to happen.
Don't backpedal on me now, Scoop.
Right. It's a whole different story if Indiana actually made it in, but no, if they're not going to be in it, hell, we can't look bad saying it. It's a big hit.
ESPN Scoop Jackson with Armen Levack on 104.5 The Team. Okay, so the Hawks are now playing the Nets instead. So do they beat Brooklyn, and how far do the Hawks go now?
If Washington gets past Toronto, Washington to me is going to be one of the most dangerous teams in the East because their confidence is going to be just through the roof. And they basically, on paper, have a legitimate squad. They can actually try to punk Atlanta, almost like I think they would do with the Bulls if they were going to meet the Bulls in the first round. Paul Pierce gives them that edge where, look, if we can't actually win this physically, try to win this mentally. They will make teams think. And when you have a team that hasn't been through it, like Atlanta, they haven't been through it. If you get a team like Chicago Bulls who have been through it but have so many injuries, and are kind of like a finesse team, they don't have that, they don't have that Charles Oakley on their roster, you could possibly get there. Cincinnati, Cleveland, basically the same way. Washington can punk everybody to the damn Eastern Coast Finals if they wanted to, if they get past this first round. So, do I think Atlanta can get through? What are their chances? Their chances are strong, but it depends on who they go up against. I like their chances to get to Toronto much better than I do Washington. Washington, if they get by, scares me.
So, Scoop, when I'm sitting here and I'm looking at the Eastern Finals and I'm looking at everybody, I still see Cleveland in there, and I still see Cleveland representing the East in the NBA Finals. Am I just giving too much credit to LeBron?
No, I don't think so. I think with reason you did. You look at what happened when LeBron came back and he just took another, couple break. To me, I still like, if they're healthy, the Bulls over the Cavs, because if you put the teams on paper, if healthy, and the Bulls really haven't been healthy all season long, but if you put them on paper, it's not that much of a difference in the matchup. Cleveland has a lot going on up top with their star players, but the Bulls just have depth. They've developed depth with Paul Gasol doing what he does, Jimmy Butler doing what he's doing, and Nico Mirotic doing what he's doing. You have, 3 more 20-point scorers on your roster that you didn't have before. So it's pretty easy to match. Now it gets down to the coaching matchup. David Platt has not been through this before. Tom Thibodeau is considered one of the best in the business. So the Bulls have an advantage at the coaching spot in a 7-game series. If the Bulls are healthy, if they have all of their players at least at 80%, I like their chances against Cleveland. But that's a big if. That's a huge. That's a think with my heart, not with my head. If
that's all right, we support that, man. We do that all the time. ESPN Scoop Jackson.
Right.
ESPN Scoop Jackson with Armen Levack on the team. Scoop, this week LeBron made a joke about Kevin Love being the MVP. This dynamic of LeBron and Kevin Love, could this hurt the franchise this year in the postseason? Is this something we could see play out to be a negative?
Not off the court, I don't think. I think they'll eventually learn to grow to love each other, or at least respect each other to a certain degree. But Kevin has to do something on the court in order to get that public embrace that we're looking for from LeBron and maybe the rest of the team. Because to me, from the outside looking in, it seems like Kevin Love is on an island by himself. And LeBron has that magnet that pulls people to him. So, it becomes a us against him situation, and I don't think they'll allow that to linger to happen. Will it affect them right now? Only if Kevin doesn't deliver on the court. If he has a 4 for 15 game where he scores maybe 10 points and has 9 rebounds and a couple of turnovers, are they going to check him out? Like, you know what, he's done. We're going to have to do this without him. And to me, that's a legitimate question we can ask before we really come to an answer with this question about is that dynamic going to affect them in this during the playoffs.
Scoop, but over in the Wild West, man, you look up and down this thing, Golden State Warriors. I personally wonder if they have the toughness to take down the rest of the opponents on the Western side. And then I sit there and I look at that 6th seed. And I wonder if anybody can take them down in San Antonio. So can Golden State run the table on this one, or is this going to be San Antonio versus LeBron or whoever comes from the East again?
If you have San Antonio and Golden State possibly meeting in the second round, who do you see coming out of that? To me, you really have to look at how both teams are playing coming in. If Golden State is rolling, like if they sweep and win the final game or the final 2 games, by 20, you're going to be like, yeah, there's nothing San Antonio's going to be able to do with them. They're rolling too. They're rolling too much. If they struggle and they take some 6 or 7 to get out, then you're like, oh, they're vulnerable. So I'm going to reserve my answer until I see what they look like before they meet.
ESPN Scoop Jackson with Armen Levack on 104.5 The Team. And Scoop, you mentioned San Antonio with their experience. It's something about the Spurs this time of year. How is Greg Popovich able to get his guys every year to hone in, no matter who's on the roster, no matter what their depth looks like, he makes it happen every single year. What is it in this month, in the next month, that makes San Antonio dangerous that Pop is able to do every single playoff season?
Because that's what rings do, man. That's what rings and consistency and greatness do. It makes people listen to you. And it's like, oh, hell, it makes sense. The best thing that can happen to a coach is that he's proven himself right, and he's proven his players wrong. So over the years, this is the way to do it. And everything he tells them comes out to be true, and he rounds up working out. And at the end, he's like, I told y'all, and they're like, yeah. So all of a sudden, he starts looking like, the damn Dalai Lama of sports. So they start listening to him. So it doesn't matter what players come in, because the players that are already there tell them, like, look, it's almost like he becomes a myth. Man, he told us this to do this, and look, it came true. He told us to do this, and look, it came true. So when Pop tells you, look, man, Tim, you're getting older. Manor, you're getting, you're getting injured, your body's breaking down. Tony, you need to pace yourself differently. Here's what we're going to do. Let the young guys get the work in during the regular season. You all rest. We're going to pace ourselves. All right? Then we're going to do what Usain Bolt does. Once we hit this, the 40-meter mark or whatever, that's when we're going for it. All right? So the 40-meter mark is a week or a month after All-Star break. That's when we go for it.
I know it's early, and I know, like you said, you like to break it down a little more before you make this prediction. But just on what you're looking at right now, who do you think meets in the finals?
If the Bulls are healthy, I have them in the finals. It's really that simple. They've only had their starters together for 20 games this whole season. Now I think their record is 16-4. And what's happened with the players they've been able to develop while the starters have been down, I think they have the thickest roster in the NBA. And I think they have a coach that has proven over the years that, is healthy, even when he's not healthy, what he's able to do. And I only say that for this year because I think after this year the window closes. I think after this year Cleveland's going to be the team that's probably going to be in the finals representing the East for the next 5 years if they stay together. But this year, if the Bulls are healthy, they have the Bulls in the finals. In the West, I see Golden State possibly getting through. And the only reason I say that is because I look at every other team in the West, and I can find a flaw or something wrong. And I don't know if I can say that for Golden State, with the exception of Steve Kerr having not been there before as a coach. But they're healthy. They very rarely have had a chance in the last couple of years to have Bogut and Lee on the court at the same time for an extended period of time. Draymond Green is a better player than he was, than he's ever been in his life. So he's an added dimension to that. And they have some type of defensive philosophy. They're not necessarily doing it on offense. You look at the numbers and what they're doing defensively. They're one of the top defensive teams in the league. It's really hard for me to find a flaw in Golden State where I can find a flaw in every other West Coast team. So I'll take them and the Bulls in the finals.
I like it. He is the greatest. He is Scoop Jackson. You read his stuff at ESPN.com. And Scoop, is it cool with you if we pick up the phone and reach out to you once in a while during the playoffs?
Come on, let's do this. I love it.
I love it,
Scoop.
Good. You're the man. Thank you so much for your time today, man. Have a great one.
Anytime, fellas. Appreciate y'all.